We are live. Power Punchers Volume 8. This is episode 8. D-Style in the building as always. And the other half of the HCP. G-Funky in the building. What's going on, fellas?
I am chilling like a villain. You know what I mean? I'm ready to get this going. Power Punchers to go 1 week hiatus, but here we are. You know what I mean? Time to throw a big haymaker. So sometimes power punchers need to take a round off sometimes, you know what I mean? But then they come back stronger the next round.
That's right, baby. I'm pumped.
What y'all drinking? What y'all drinking?
I'm drinking water tonight, man. I'm pumped, man. Power punchers, baby. I'm ready to rock,
What is that nonsense that D-Style's drinking tonight? What is that?
Tecate, brother, it is.
Oh, that's Tecate. I thought you had something else.
Well, I was drinking this too, this is the warm-up.
Y'all hit that like button as you come in. I see a bunch of people already in. Steven, shout out to Steven. Shout out to Kenichi Yawa in the building as well. Look, man, we got a lot of Pacquiao talk tonight. That's going to happen. We already know that. A lot of stuff going on with Pacquiao. Conspiracy theories flying around. Is Spence ducking? All this good stuff. Ugas stepping in. Pacquiao saying, look, I don't care if he's number 6. I don't care if he's a tough fight, a week and a half out. I'm still going to fight him. Shout out to Pacquiao for doing that. And then we got boxing trivia later, D-Style. We got boxing trivia. RunPMC. Hopefully RunPMC comes on to defend his Power Punchers boxing trivia diamond belt. I think he's won it 3 straight weeks. So let's see if RunPMC can win. But y'all hit the like button as you come in and introduce yourselves in the chat as well. Let's start it off with this. The historic Power Puncher of the week. I know you guys remember this fight. 1997, August 7th. Roy Jones, fresh off 5 months later, when he was DQ'd against Montell Griffen, comes back and says, look, give me my belt back. Give it to me quick. Give it to me quick. Give it to me right now. We're not messing around. We're not playing games tonight. I'm gonna knock you out. I'm not gonna hit you while you're in on the canvas this time. Get this guy out of here. Give me my belt back. What do you guys remember about that rematch? Roy Jones Jr., August 7th, 1997. First round knockout.
First round, baby.
Got rid of him quick.
It was long.
What do you say in the song? We put a whipping on Montell Griffen.
Yeah, I must have forgot. Yo, let me tell you something. That monologue was longer than the fight.
His post-fight interview
explaining the fight is like explaining the round is longer than the round. You know what I mean? This is the fight where Roy Jones Jr., by the way, talks about how it's the only fight, by the way, he says, where his alter ego, I forget what he calls it, he has a name for it, took over. RJ. Like, bro, it's just your initials, brother, but whatever, right? RJ takes over, you know what I mean? And I don't like to use RJ because RJ could really hurt people, but he didn't even any choice but to do it because he kept, saying that he beat my ass, even though he didn't beat my ass. I mean, I hate him when he was down, but I had to, bring out RJ because he didn't leave me a choice. But I told myself after that, I could really hurt people with RJ, so I'm not going to use RJ ever again because RJ could really hurt somebody, and I'm not in the business of really hurting people. Like,
you don't want to kill somebody.
Yeah. Like, okay, bro.
I kill that kid by mistake.
You should have probably released RJ. When Tarver was on your ass, you probably release RJ. You know what I mean? Maybe you needed him then. I'm just saying. That
was maybe. RJ with the rat tail. That was prime RJ right there.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a bad boy.
It's one of my favorite Roy Jones fights for sure. Is the rematch with Montell Griffen. First thing I remember about that fight is he comes out in the suit. Who remembers the tuxedo he had on when he walked out? I'm like, look at this guy, man. And then not only that, then when he finally takes off the attire, like this dude looks like he was like chiseled, like one of those sculptures you see in like a museum. I mean, Roy Jones, you could tell he went into training camp. He was looking to kill Griffen after that.
He was not messing around that night.
He was not playing that night. First left hook he lands, sends Griffen into the ropes. He's stumbling back like in the Matrix. The ropes keep him up. He was landing hellacious left hooks all night on him, and then he finally landed a half hook, half uppercut, snapped his head all the way back. Griffen's legs were gone. Tried to get him about 3-4 times, and that was it, man. Classic fight for Roy Jones. One of my favorites.
One of my favorites as well. And that Roy, that was right in that era right there, right in that 90s wheelhouse, is the baddest man I've ever seen pound for pound in the ring. I mean, he just was. And you knew Montell Griffen was in trouble that night. You knew he was in trouble that night. There was nobody in my opinion, nobody who ever stepped in the ring, I shouldn't say nobody. There are very few people who ever stepped in the ring who could have messed with Roy that night. Like ever, pound for pound. That version of Roy, out for vengeance, trying to get back his titles. It was going to be rough, man. It was going to be rough for anybody.
Yeah. RJ made his one and only appearance, bro.
Shout out to JC. Salute to the panel, he says. Salute to JC. Always in the building. We appreciate everybody coming through. And y'all hit that like button as you come through.
Is that the sanctioning fee? Is that the sanctioning fee?
Or is that JC trying to bribe us for some like, hey man, text us or email me some boxing trivia questions for later on so I can beat RunPMC? Because RunPMC looks unstoppable at the moment. I don't think that guy's going to lose.
We can't be bought. We don't got any racist judges over here like the WBA. We're good. Like, we're all good over here.
RunPMC is like the old RJ. You know,
I don't know.
He ain't taking no prisoners out there.
Right. I feel like I can be bribed, though. I'm just being honest. I feel like I can be bribed. Hit me with those super chats. I feel like I can be bribed.
A small sanctioning fee, of course.
Oh, of course. You know, I want to talk about that Jones fight again. Is one thing I remember Larry Merchant saying was, you know, Roy doesn't like to get hit, right? But he said this during that fight because he was so aggressive early. He said he's taking chances, sticking his chin out there now. And if you go back and watch that fight, it's just, again, only one round. You could see Griffen was a very good counterpuncher for that at that time. He was landing some good counter shots on Roy, but Roy was not going to be stopped that night, man.
No.
You know, we could talk about his chin and things like that later on as his reflexes were gone. But that night, Griffen landed some good, I'm going to say about good 3-4 counter punches on Roy. Roy walked right through him and destroyed this dude.
Yes, he did. I don't think any punch was going to stop him that night. No. Nothing was going to stop him that night. That was prime Roy, out for vengeance. I just don't see – I can't think of a fighter that I've seen that could have messed with that Roy that night. So shout out to Roy. He is the historic power puncher of the week here on Power Punchers episode 8. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. And by the way, if you aren't subbed, I'm closing in on 4,000 subs. Hit that sub button as well. Hit the sub button for G Funky. You just got over 1,000. And by the way, y'all had a Hall of Famer on your show last night. Great show. That was really. I know y'all always do great shows, but that was one of my favorites. And I think y'all are close to 1,500 views on that. Should be higher because that was a great show.
It's actually closing in on 1,700 as of right now.
Nice job.
Yeah. Make sure you watch the documentary too. I watched the one last night on the Malice in the Palace, and you know, that was back when I was following the NBA really, really good.
Yeah.
And there were some things that came out about that story that I didn't even know about. So it's going to be a good documentary. I can't wait for it to come out next week.
And I want to say this, and I really want to thank Christy, because when ATP was just getting started, you know, and I don't hold grudges or nothing. I still invite people to show, but a lot of people kind of like, well, who are you? And you know how it is. And Christy Martin came on. You know what I mean? And she gladly came on. This is her third time on. And, you know, and look, she reached out and she literally texted me that you'll be the first interview after I watch the documentary. You know what I mean? And she came on. So I definitely appreciate that. And by the way, I appreciate Alvis, who came on as well, and giving us, it's a funny story, you know, his family calling him Judas, and because he's helping Anthony Joshua, you know, beat, you know, Ruiz. But at the end of the day, it's just, I thought it was a great show too. You know, I thought last week, even though I wasn't on it, that was a great show as well with Roberto Diaz.
Yeah. Even though you weren't on it, huh? You still thought it was a great show?
It was a great show. No, I'm just saying, like, because, you know what I mean? But
no, I'm not. And by the way, that's a true legend right there, Christy Martin. So that's nothing to take lightly. True legend in the game. So shout out to y'all for getting that interview. Great interview as well. Let's hop right into this, because I know it's what everybody wants to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Casamaro versus Rigo. I love that fight, and it's flying under the radar. That fight's flying under the radar. I wish it was Casamaro versus Donaire, but guess what? Rigo steps in after taking the step-aside money. Then he steps right back in
They
It's
made it
been a
rain on
weird, dude.
Rigo.
It has been a weird year for boxing. Like this has been a weird year. Like,
Rico's
that's another thing I've never seen. A guy takes step aside money, steps back, and then he hops right back into the fight. This has been a weird
no,
year.
it's the year of the Cubans, bro. Everything's falling on their laps.
Yeah.
Say like
They're winning
it's
gold
like
medals. They're getting big fights. Yeah, man.
And look,
you can't deny that everything has played out for them. Like
and look,
Ugas.
Rigo and Ugas are both healthy underdogs. I mean, it's plus. I'll read into that in a minute. I think Rigo's plus 200, so they're giving him a shot there. And Ugas is plus 296. But I might be jumping on Rigo and on the betting odds, even though I like Casamero to win the fight. We're going to be talking on that in a minute because I love that fight. I love the fact that Vergil Ortiz, one of the most exciting fighters in the game, is fighting this weekend. I'll watch that guy fight anybody. I'll watch him fight anybody. I'll watch him fight your kids. not really, but no, I love that guy. Exciting style. So it should be a good weekend for boxing. Great fights, 3 great fights this weekend. But Pacquiao, what did y'all think when this happened? Because at this point, I'm numb to it. I was like, of course, of course.
Well, let me say this. So I don't know how you guys heard about it, but I was literally driving and notification. And I notice, okay, it's from Christine, right? And I'm thinking maybe she's saying, hey, I'm back home from Tokyo. I don't know, something like that. You know what I mean? I pull over to pull gas. I look at the text, and Spence is out. Like, Spence is out. What do you mean Spence is out? I go to Twitter. I'm like, is this what you tweet? This is what you texted me? What is this? So like this is like why'd you tell me this? Like, why, man? So I go to Twitter and I'm looking at Spence is out, eye injury, all this shit. I'm just like, well, it's boxing. I don't get why people are taking it out on boxing, though. I see a lot of people like, oh, fuck this sport. That's why I'm tired of the sport. Like, I mean, it's an injury. It's not like, it's a bit much. But that's how I heard about it. What did I do? I mean, I'm at a point where, like, well, what am I going to do about it? Like,
yeah, I was getting texts from people, screenshots from people. I'm literally at work calling parents. School's about to start tomorrow. I'm calling parents about things involving school. And the next thing you know, my phone is just blowing up in my pocket. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be on my phone at work, but I need to see what the hell is going on. Damn it. I pull out my phone and I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's like, it shit happens, man. And I just want to say to Spence, man, I hope he gets better soon. But this is a real serious injury, man.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes are nothing to play with, man. If you ever looked at the way that an eye is designed, it's an incredible design with all those little, I'm talking millions of teeny tiny wires that connect from your eye to your brain. Like, imagine, doing like electrical work on your house or something, dealing with wires is always a pain in the ass. But imagine doing that in just a little tiny space. Like, I mean, things are so sensitive and complicated in there. Even with the surgery, his eye is not going to be the same. So, I just hope everything works out for him. And hopefully he's got, some good money saved, some investments in case he can't go anymore, because there is a real possibility of that. But we'll see, man. He says he's going to come back, and I hope he does,
Yeah. And hit that like button as y'all come in. But this is what I'm going to say. And I dropped a video about this yesterday. I give Spence the benefit of the doubt. I do believe he has an injury. But here's what I'll say. Let's go back to May. When this fight was announced, we looked at the betting odds. I went right away and looked at the betting odds. Pacquiao was plus 350, which means he's a pretty heavy underdog, right? You have to bet. You bet $100, you win $350. That's how it works. So plus 350 means he's the heavy underdog for those who don't know betting odds. So what happens? We get to June, a month later, and those betting odds cut in half. And I drop a video about it. I'm like, what is going on here? And then a couple of days later, they drop even more. And it got all the way to the point to the day before the fight, before Spence pulled out, it was plus 159. So what happens? Why is that happening? That's what's called sharp money, right? There's sharp money and there's square money. Sharp money is the pro money. Square money is what's called the Joes, the average Joes. It's pros versus Joes. The sharp money is guys who do this for a living. They know people in the training camps. They're getting feedback from within the training camps. These are guys who bet on football. They have weathermen on speed dial telling them it's going to be 7 miles per hour wind in case you have field goal kickers and there's going to be a close game. They know the weather report. They get first dibs on knowing what athlete, what kicker, what quarterback is going to be out due to injury before they even hit the injury report. These guys know what's going on within these camps. And it's the same thing with boxing. So when I saw the betting odds this far out tighten that much, it told me Errol Spence is not having a good camp. Manny Pacquiao is having a great camp. That's what it told me. And we started to hear rumors that Errol Spence is getting touched up in sparring. So to me, what I heard yesterday confirmed those reports. When you have a retina injury, okay, and then the guy pulls out of the fight, and then the opposing fighter still goes on with the fight against a guy you don't normally do not want to take on a week and a half out. That tells me that, one, the fact that he has a retina injury means that he was probably getting touched up in sparring, and the betting odds confirm that. All right. And it also tells me that Pacquiao is having a good camp because Pacquiao and Freddie Roach did not want to waste this camp, and they wanted to go along with this fight, even if it was Ugas. And by the way, I don't buy the coincidence that Ugas's opponent hurt his eye on the very same day Errol Spence was pulling out of the fight. I do not buy that one. All right. To me, that's not a conspiracy theory. I'm old enough. Coincidences like that do not happen. All right. So they told Maidana, look, dude, I'm sorry. We're saying you have an ear.
I do think there's a picture about it, though, like his eye.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is it confirmed to me what we've been hearing coming out of these camps. I don't think Spence was having a good camp. I believe he was getting touched up in the camp. And I believe that Pacquiao was having a great camp, which is why he wants to stay on a date, which is why Freddie Roach wants to stay on a date. And they're willing to take on the number 6 guy in the division. And by the way, it's been a weird year in boxing. Here's another weird thing for you. Ugas will now be defending Manny Pacquiao's belt against Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was unrightfully stripped, in my opinion. Was not granted his waiver. Dude, 2020, nobody was fighting. Leo Santa Cruz still has a belt at 126 by the WBA, and he hasn't fought in 2 years. He's still got the belt.
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao was trying to make a fight back in February. All right, and nobody was fighting in 2020. And now the guy has to fight Ugas to get his belt back. It's his belt. Just weird. But what do y'all think about this Ugas fight? Ugas is tough on a week and a half notice.
It is. I would say this. It's a completely different fight now for Manny Pacquiao. I mean, number one, he's not a southpaw, which, he's probably been training with southpaws all through camp. So, that changes. But, the thing is this, with Pacquiao, he's fought so long. I know it's been a while since he's fought a southpaw, but, that shouldn't be too much of a problem to adjust to. But Ugas with the Cuban style, man, we all know that the ones that turn pro and do well in pro, they can give you fits. They can definitely give you fits in the ring. So an upset would not surprise me here, man. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do anticipate a really good fight, man. Ugas is a tough dude, man. And I think it's going to be a really good fight. I'm still buying the pay-per-view. Yes, I'm still buying.
As am I. As am I. What do you think, D-Style?
Well, a couple of things I want to touch on. So one, in terms of, whether coincidences do happen, it might be unlikely, but they do happen. I just wanted to throw that out there. But I will say, though, if it did happen, I mean, for Ugas to go from, what do you mean my opponent's out? God damn. Oh, but you're going to fight Pacquiao. Holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, Like, I don't know how the sequence happened, but that must have been a great sequence of things, you know. Also, the WBA, for everybody out there, you know, trying to be like the savior of the world, like, oh, we need to go at the WBA and like all this other shit. Well, PBC didn't do shit about it, and guess what? They're gonna reward the WBA with a Manny Pacquiao Ugas fight. You know what I mean? And they're gonna do shit about anything. I just want to let you know right now. And lastly, look, it's a good fight, but it's not Pac Spence. You know what I mean? Like that's my thing, but I understand
do
that.
Do y'all get the feeling that this could be like a Saddam Ali, Miguel Cotto type thing, where everybody sleeps on the fight?
No, I don't. So like the reason I'm saying that is because I just think Manny Pacquiao, when you look at him in training right now, he looks spectacular, bro. You know what I mean? His speed is there, everything is there, and in my opinion, the in and out of Pacquiao is going to give Ugas a lot of problems, in my opinion. The speed is going to give him problems because Ugas is a guy who, yes, you could argue beat Porter, but Pacquiao's come in at a different angle, and a short notice fight favors the southpaw, and it doesn't favor the orthodox fighter.
It doesn't, but
it just doesn't.
He's a tall fighter.
Manny's seen guys
how to use the length. He hasn't. I mean, you could argue he hasn't lost a fight in 7 years. You could argue he hasn't lost a fight in 7 years. I mean, that Sean Porter fight was close. So
right, but his arms are shorter, Kelly. They're shorter than he has a shorter reach than Spence.
Does
you know what I mean? Yes. So like
Spence, but not Pacquiao. Then Spence.
Well, I don't know about Pacquiao, but what I will say is, of course, this is a very tough fight to take short notice, but it favors Pacquiao.
It does. There's no doubt.
It does. Manny Pacquiao was about to face his first southpaw since David Diaz.
Right.
Right. When's the last time Ugas fought a southpaw?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if anybody knows the answer, please say it to me. Manny has fought guys like Ugas before. He's fought better fighters than Ugas before. Ugas has never seen anything like Manny Pacquiao. And while I understand, could it be an upset situation? Maybe. But I'm pretty confident Manny Pacquiao will win this fight on points. I'm pretty confident.
Those are good points.
93.
But the reason I bring that up is with Pacquiao, it's a high risk fight. You're fighting a guy who's number 6. He does know how to fight. He is technically sound. He's a Cuban fighter. He's from the Cuban School of Boxing. Now, there are things that line up for Pacquiao, obviously. Ugas is not a puncher. He's just not a puncher. He's got a good chin, so this is going to go 12, I believe. And he does leave his left hand out there, and Pacquiao will be able to exploit that when he steps to the side that gets his front foot on the outside of Ugas's front foot, all that good stuff. But it is a high-risk fight at 42 and a half years old on short notice, and it's not, other than the belt that he's already had, it's low reward. Now, when it comes to Ugas, although, yes, he's got all those things going against him, I agree. This is the highest reward that he could possibly get in the division at this point in his career. So that's the only reason I throw that out there is you have a guy who has a lot to lose versus a guy with not much to lose, if anything. So it's one of those things, man. It's although stylistically I agree with you. Vegas agrees with you, and as do I. He's minus 404 Pacquiao, so they see Pacquiao as a heavy favorite. But it's that thing, man. You fight a guy who is very happy right now, doesn't have much to lose. It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yes. And I like the way you said that. He doesn't have nothing to lose. He's almost like the role player on the basketball team. You know, like if the ball, if they double team the superstar, the ball ends up in his hands, he throws up the shot. Hey, it doesn't matter if it goes in or not. I'm not supposed to be taking this shot. You know, if it goes in, hey, I'm the hero. You know, but if it doesn't, then hey, I wasn't even supposed to shoot that. You know, like. But one thing I can say about Ugas is this: we all know, obviously, he's well schooled in the Cuban boxing, right? Which again, like I said, very, very difficult to give anybody fits. But what I think is a little different with him is if you go back and watch that Porter fight, and even if you watch the Figueroa fight, he roughed those dudes up a little bit. Like he's not
Mhm.
afraid to get a little dirty, a little nasty in there. The one knock on the Cubans is that they're all finesse. They want to stay on the outside and box and stuff like that. Like he doesn't mind mixing up a little bit. So if he can get his rough up Pacquiao a little bit on the inside, and it can make things interesting, man.
I'm still buying the fight as well. It's Pacquiao. I'm gonna buy it regardless, and it's still a top 10 welterweight. He's depending on what rankings you look at, he's somewhere between 5 and 7.
I just don't. I don't buy the threat here. I mean, this is a guy with a 40% KO ratio, right?
Mhm.
I honestly don't think if let me put it this way: if someone like Thurman got hit by Pacquiao and said, "I never felt anything like that," and he fought Garcia, he fought Porter, by the way, he fought like a lot of guys. You know what I mean? From the Robert Guerreros, you name it, he fought almost all of them. At the end of the day, all right, what is Ugas going to feel? I think it's going to be a shock for Ugas, especially early, and he's going to have to make some adjustments in his approach, in my opinion, early in that fight. I think he's gonna feel like, whoa, like early in that fight. And as good as Ugas is, there's two things he's gonna have to worry about. Mm-hmm. One is his hairline. Like, you know what I mean? He's got patches of hair missing up here, bro. Just shave that shit off. Like, it's a wrap. The hair loss that you lost, like,
well,
it's
I think
over.
Actually, I think he has alopecia or something. He actually lost all of his hair. It's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, he has
so now I sound like an asshole. But that aside,
that's why I corrected you. That's why I corrected you. I wanted you to.
Okay. So that aside, wow. So, but the other thing is, bro, he's gonna have to adjust to that speed. Okay, he's gonna have to adjust to that speed because yes, he beat up Figueroa, but Figueroa was touching him in those early rounds a little too much, and Figueroa can't crack compared to Manny Pacquiao. So I do believe Pacquiao will hurt him. I think Pacquiao might even drop him early in that fight. I really do. That straight left is going to be killing Ugas all night. And I don't think Ugas' right hand is that good.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think his left hand is strong, but he leaves it out there. And that's why I agree with you in that.
Manny Pacquiao destroys guys that are orthodox and depend on their left hand. It's just what he does. That's what his history shows. And that's probably his favorite type of fighter to fight. Left hand dominant, a hook heavy Miguel Cotto. You know what I mean? Hook heavy De La Hoya. Yeah. That's what he has fun with. And I just think, I'm a boxing fan. I'm hoping for a competitive fight. Don't get me wrong. But I do believe Pacquiao's going to run away with this one.
When he gets that right foot on the outside of Ugas' left foot, which will happen. And you got to remember, they're saying Pacquiao is up there in age, which is true, 42 and a half. But guess what? Ugas is 35, and that's in Cuban age, right? I mean, that's on his birth certificate, right? We say that Rigo is 39. There are rumors that Rigo is up to 46 years old. So Ugas not in his prime either. So when Pacquiao steps on the outside of that front foot, he's going to be lighting him up with left hands all night. But I'll say this. If Ugas were to fight Keith Thurman right now, who would you pick? Ugas. I would pick Ugas. I'm just being honest. So, in my opinion,
well, you have to.
Still a good fight.
One thing
I mean, it's a good point. However, I mean, I don't know if he beats the Thurman from 2 years ago. Like now, yes, 2 years ago, I don't know about that.
Yeah, you might be right.
One thing I noticed with the Thurman fight was Pacquiao faded a little bit late in that fight. Now I know he hurt Thurman to the body, I think in like round 9. Right. But that was a round where he was losing that round up until he landed that body shot on Keith and hurt him. So, that's the thing that worries me with Pacquiao is, like I said, he faded a little bit to me in that fight. Although I still think he won it. I'm not saying he lost it, but I did see him get a little bit tired. The 2-year layoff, man, that's a lot of rust to shake off, man. At 42 years old. I'm very anxious to see how he does early on,
Me too.
Maybe Ugas might step on the gas early and say, this guy's rusty. He's been out of the ring a long time. He's 42. Let me jump on this old guy. Who knows, man? Like, that would be my game plan. I'll be honest with you. If I'm in Ugas' corner, it's like, we're jumping on this old dude. All right, ain't no way this old dude's going to beat us tonight. We're going to beat him with youth. we're gonna beat him with size. You know, that's what I would be saying. But
and it would backfire, but it's a good game plan. It would backfire, but it is a good game plan.
I just want to remind you. I mean, okay, old dude like Ugas is 35.
Right.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, he's still younger.
35 years old.
But before I get some more points, I want, first of all, hit that like button as you come in. I'm gonna get some more comments, but I wanted to touch on RunPMC's comment here. The real fight on the card is Vicious versus the Ghost. Dude, I cannot believe that fight's happening. I cannot believe that fight's happening.
You know, I like the fight.
What year is this? What year is this?
Are we going back in time or what?
Look, that might be a fun fight. It really might. Dude, y'all got to get the old man on there to talk about Robert Guerrero on y'all show.
Roberto Guerrero. Yeah.
I wonder what Mad Dog thinks about this, man. He told us 2 weeks ago, bro. He told us. Remember? He said Robert's coming back, bro.
He did. I told him you're a liar. Dude wasn't lying.
And shout out to William Boxing as well. Let me get to some of these comments.
By the way, guys, come on, man. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. Let's go. Hit that like button. Let's go.
Don't forget.
Hit that like button. Let's go. Hit that like button. But look, do y'all think that this is sort of the door closing? And shout out to Teresa D. Sorry, I'm just catching up with all this. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Salute to y'all, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Look, I don't take this for granted that people come on here and watch this show and support us, subscribe, spend time watching us, and I appreciate that. So salute to everybody in the chat watching, and cheers to everybody. But do y'all think the door is closed on Pacquiao versus Spence? Because we are talking about a guy who's 42 and a half, who does have political aspirations, and I don't know what the political aspirations are. I don't know when that starts. I don't know when he's running for office. I don't know any of that. But I assume that it's pretty soon, and I assume it's going to take up a lot of his time. So is this it? And that's another reason that I'm watching this fight still and paying for it, is I want to watch a legend who could possibly be fighting his last fight, win or lose.
You know what? I don't know. Like that's got to be on someone's bucket list, right? Watching a Manny Pacquiao fight live, like in the arena.
Right.
Because it's pretty much, I mean, he's opened the door for more people to watch. This is going to drop. I believe anyway, the ticket prices are going to go down, right? I mean, this is a really good opportunity to watch Manny Pacquiao fight live for a lot of people out there. And you're right, man. I mean, we are watching someone, you know, just doing great things, right? He's 42 years old, bro. Like when you see 42-year-olds like this doing shit, like Manny Pacquiao's fighting like a world champion. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what he's doing right now. And
same thing we say about Donnell,
and that's why I will be watching the fight, because at the end of the day, we got to support Manny Pacquiao. But I will say though, is Ugas really the swan song? Like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like oh yeah, I ended my career beating Ugas. Like I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. You know, like I still think he's gonna come back, and I think he wants that defining win, like that. You can't deny me being the best of my generation win. Like, you know what I mean? Because right now it's a debate, but if he wants that fight that doesn't make it a debate. You know what I mean? And I don't know what
come out today. Bert Sugar's top 100 greatest fighters of all time. Pacquiao would be in it, but he's still climbing the charts. If he beats Ugas, he goes a little higher. But if he would have beat Spence, it's a different story. And that's the thing that bothers me too. What bothers me about this is it's sort of, okay, Spence is hurt now. So what if this pushes this fight back into 2022, and now Pacquiao's 43 and a half, so he's a little older. But then you can throw out that Spence is coming off of a car crash and an eye injury, which you don't mess around with eye injuries. I mean, Margarito is a case of that, right? Margarito's eye will never be the same.
Abner Mares as well. Yeah.
Abner Mares. I mean, when's the last time Abner Mares fought?
I can't even remember, but it's crazy to think that a guy who's 42 years old, probably the smallest out of all these welterweights in the top 10, you know, maybe top 20, who knows? He went from fighting Earl Spence Jr., you know, Earl Spence gets hurt, you know, and then now he's going to Ugas, who is, again, I don't think is an easy fight. So, I mean, this is absolutely crazy to see a guy that age do this. And I hope that these young fighters take notes, man, because these current welterweights right now, dumpster juice, man. We can't even get these dudes to fight, man. Look, this guy's fighting all these young dudes, man. He's fighting
You know what's amazing? Let me tell you what's amazing about this fight right now. Manny Pacquiao is 42 years old.
Yes.
If you combine him and Ugas together, like their age, it's 110 years old, guys. Combined, guys. You know what I mean? Just think about that. That's amazing.
That's right. And like G Funky says, we always criticize the welterweight division, and Pacquiao is sort of like the shining light in the division. And these other guys don't want to follow the blueprint because they're busy posturing and getting these paydays for fighting lesser. It's a dumpster juice division. All right. And Manny Pacquiao is one of the bright lights in the division. Shout out to Nando Llamas, by the way. Let's see if he can dethrone the current champion tonight in boxing trivia.
Look, I just want to say this really quick. Shout out to Mr. H Money, by the way, saying the Ugas jab could give Manny Pacquiao problems. Absolutely. Although he is picking Pacquiao to win by knockout. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But I do want to say this. Everyone in the chat right now, I know you're on your cell phone. I get it. Okay. I know the chat is up. I get it. Press the little X in the corner. It's going to drop down the chat, and you're going to see the thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. It's the best. That is the best way to support any channel you watch. Support Power Puncher. Support Calix Boxing. Support HCP. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get that thumbs up. I want to see the thumbs up go up. Throw a jab at the thumbs up. Throw a cross at the subscribe. And hit an uppercut at the bell button. And make sure you hit the all. That way you're always notified when Calix Boxing comes on live. Let's go ahead and get those thumbs up, guys. Come on.
Right. We got 80 plus people here, man. 40 likes is what I'm saying. Man, let's get them up. Let's go.
Let's get that up to 100 before the end of the show. But look, man, I really appreciate what Pacquiao's doing right now for this division, because it would have been easy to step off this fight. It would have been easy to step off this date. But he didn't. And it brings into question the whole Canelo thing, right? The Canelo demand that he made, because look, a lot of stuff's going on. So at this point, as a fighter, if I'm the A side, I would want to guarantee that money-wise, I can stay on this date, because there's so much going on. I mean, we saw it with Benavidez again today. There's so much going on with guys falling off of dates. 2021's been a crazy year, so I want to guaranteed that I want my money. And apparently PBC gave that to Pacquiao, but they didn't want to give that to Canelo. And I'm still hearing, I saw you on the Boxing Voice earlier, D-Style, and I'm still hearing people do mental gymnastics over the Canelo versus Caleb Plant thing. Dude, it is such an easy thing to figure out. If Canelo's wheeling and dealing with everybody out there, and all of a sudden he gets to this same guy 3 times, Caleb Plant, and he can't make the fight 3 times, it's not hard from the outside to figure out whose fault that is, right? And there's one common denominator in that, and it's Al Heyman, okay? So it's not difficult to figure out. Eddie Hearn runs the point. Guess what? We got that fight in September. All right? That's all I'm saying. I'm just tired of seeing mental gymnastics out there, D-Style, and like you're trying to gently make an argument.
Let me just tell you something right now, okay? Look, I'm not going to argue with people. Look, obviously, Canelo's already made the ballpark. He's already made like the guarantee in that ballpark, $35 million. Okay,
that prediction's coming, by the way.
He's already made it. So when someone tells me, no, that's not true. Okay, I guess Forbes.com is lying, CBS Sports is lying, ESPN is lying. Everyone's lying about Canelo already making $35 million guarantee. You know. By the way, man, shout out to everybody, man. Let's get the thumbs up though. Hit the like button.
I think you guys can take the power of Manny. Just for the sake of now, 5 years ago, no. But once again, you're up there 42 and a half years old. The legs aren't what they used to be. And obviously you don't have the same pop. Obviously you can't hit from the same angles that you were hitting De La Hoya from Canelo from. So I do think Ugas is going to take Manny's power. I just think that Manny's going to outclass him, particularly early in the fight. It's like we said, once he gets that front foot on the outside of Ugas' front foot, he's going to light him up with the left hands all night. Right? Do y'all think that he can take that power?
I think it's for me. I think if it's going to be an issue for Ugas, I think it's going to be more of a volume thing right now. I don't know if it's going to be one single punch that will do it. But Ugas, like I'm telling you, man, he's really good on the inside for a Cuban fighter. That's not typical
with the
of
body
the Cuban
punching, right?
guys. Yeah, he's strong, man. But I think speed, hand speed, foot speed, angles like that Pacquiao gives you, that gives anybody trouble, man. It's hard to train for that kind of unorthodox style, really hard to train. But I think if it's gonna be if the power of Manny is gonna show up, I think it's gonna be in volume, not in just like one single shot.
What do you think, D-Style, on that? You think it's gonna his power is gonna bother you guys? I don't think so either. I think it's gonna be the activity that bothers me.
I don't know. You know what? I need to go by what fighters say, though. You know what I mean? Like in one of his very few honest moments, Mayweather was asked, "Hey, who's the best fighter you ever fought?" And he actually said, kind of reluctantly, but it was like, the best fighter I ever fought was probably Manny Pacquiao. I saw why he like when I fought him, I saw why he gave a lot of guys problems. That's for Mayweather to say that. Like, you guys got need to understand, that's amazing. Okay, okay, because he never gives anybody credit for anything. You know what I mean? But Mayweather went really super defensive when he got clipped with that straight left. I think it was the second or third round. You know what I mean? Thurman said his hands felt like bricks, bro. he said it felt like he had rocks in his hands, right? Even like they had a common opponent in man, what was that dude that Pacquiao had doing backflips and shit, and Spence beat up as well? Algieri said, yeah, man, he's a sharp, like he could punch. Shane Mosley said, dude, that dude could fucking crack. Like it's just, I gotta go by what the boxers are saying, bro. Like, okay, what I think. I gotta go by that.
And remember, D-Style, that was when Algieri's trainer said he let him out the cage. Remember that?
Oh,
let him out the cage right now.
I was watching that fight at a bar here, right? And let me tell you, it was the Oasis here in El Paso. It's like a bowling alley, but they have like a big bar inside. And we're watching the fight, big screen, and you could hear him say that. Oh, I got him in the cage. We're just waiting to release him. And every time he opened his mouth, like, dude, he had Algieri doing backflips, and I never seen a dude doing backflips, front flips. Like, dude, Algieri, I don't like that dude didn't know what the hell, like, where the punches were coming from. He just didn't. He never figured it out, and it showed. You know what I mean? Like that has to be one of the most impressive Pacquiao wins ever. I mean, that was a hell of a performance.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot. Somebody said that he's one of the few athletes who has really 2 Hall of Fame careers. I mean, if you split his career, he actually has 2 of them. I mean, you can say the same thing about, like, say, a Barry Bonds in baseball or somebody like that. Tom Brady in football. Manny Pacquiao really has 2 Hall of Fame careers in one. Like, if you stop Manny Pacquiao in like 2005, Hall of Famer. Or even 2003. If you go from 2005 to 2021, Hall of Famer again. It's weird. It's weird.
Let me put it to you this way. In 1999, Manny Pacquiao was the flyweight champion of the world.
Wow.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Like you're going to tell me, I don't know who is the young flyweight champion today. If you're going to tell me in 20 years you're going to be the welterweight champion, I would say you're crazy. I would say there's no way. So, like that is amazing. I don't care what anybody says.
Let's say in a way, 2035 would be a welterweight champion. Like, would you believe it? No. Of course not.
Crazy. But yeah, man, this has been great. I'm on a little bit of a time constraint tonight, so I want to come on and rock. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, Calix, for letting me come on and rock for a little bit to talk about this stuff.
We're talking about Jailhouse Rock. Just we had Elvis yesterday. All of a sudden, it's got I want to rock. And like,
hey, man.
Look, everybody subscribe to that channel, G Funky 84.
I would appreciate it, man. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, man, keep supporting HCP, the HCP network. We're taking over, man. And man, we got over 120 people watching right now, man. hit the damn like, okay? Don't forget to do that, okay? Don't forget to do that, man. But Calix D Style, it's been fun, man. And again, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime. And go sub to that channel. Great channel here on YouTube.
Hit the like.
He's on here running that HCP campaign as well, right here with D Style. So yeah, hit that like button as y'all comment. I appreciate it. Everybody that's coming in, everybody that's been hitting us with those super chats.
But by the way, Kelly, I don't know where you got that thumbnail, but that thumbnail is slick. I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I mean?
You're the king of the thumbnail. I gotta say, you're the king of the thumbnail. Nobody does the thumbnails like you. So yeah, I mean, just in conclusion with the Pacquiao thing, I see people saying that Spence ducked. I don't believe that at all. I do believe it's a real injury. I don't think you bow out of a fight, a career fight. This would have been a career-defining fight for Spence. So I don't believe that. However, as I said in the video yesterday, as I said earlier on the show, it does clarify to me and confirm to me what we've been hearing out of these camps. It does confirm to me what we've been seeing with the betting odds, because the betting odds got all the way down to plus 159 for Pacquiao, which is close to toss-up status. When they started off as plus 350, they had Pacquiao as a heavy underdog. So, I mean, just think about that. It was a 65% closing, 70% closing on the betting odds over the past month and a half. And the fact that it came this far out tells you that's smart money, that's sharp money. These are guys who do this for a living. They know the ins and outs of these camps. They know people within the camps, giving them inside information, inside intel. And they were telling these people, I do believe that Spence is getting touched up in camp. Pacquiao's looking great in camp. Pacquiao's doing great in sparring. And the fact that Spence has a retina injury, and the fact that Pacquiao is staying on this date and is fighting the number 6 welterweight in the world confirms to me that the betting odds were right, and the intel that they were getting from the inside, the rumors that we were hearing from the inside are true, that Spence was not looking that sharp and Pacquiao was looking sharp. So it's unfortunate to me, because had the injury not happened, I think we would have had a firefight here. I think we would have had a close fight on the scorecards, going 12. I don't think either guy would have knocked each other out. And due to Pacquiao's activity, and I said it on a tweet a couple hours before the fight was canceled, it was going to come down to whoever fought on the front foot for most of the night, right? Because Spence is the bigger guy. If he fights on the front foot, uses his physicality, uses his weight advantage, he can push Pacquiao back and have Pacquiao fighting on his heels. But if Pacquiao is using his angles to get away from that and using his feints, because Spence, although a physical fighter, although a very technical fighter, although a great fighter, is not a complex fighter, right? He's an easier fighter to figure out and to time. Right. With Pacquiao, he's a more complex fighter than people give him credit for because of his feints, constant fading, constant fading that he's using in the ring. So I think he would have been able to push Spence onto his back foot a lot of the fight. So this was going to be a firefight, man, and that's why I'm depressed about this. But at the same time, I'm still watching it, because at least we still get Pacquiao next Saturday night. But what's your closing thoughts on this whole Pacquiao, Spence, Ugas love triangle here?
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to both Ugas and Pacquiao for taking this fight short notice.
True.
We've seen a lot of fighters, and I'm not even saying they're at fault for this, but say, you know what, I don't want to fight a freaking Manny Pacquiao, or not him specifically, but just I don't want to fight a level like that. Like, if you remember John Jones when he was asked to fight Chael Sonnen short notice, and he's like, nah, bro, I like to prepare for my opponents, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that they're taking a short notice fight and saying, hey, I'll do it, I understand why Ugas is doing it. It's a big payday for him, and God bless the guy. I hope he makes the most of it. And Manny Pacquiao, to be honest with you, he has almost nothing to gain out of this other than getting the belt that's already his back. That's really all it is. That's his belt. Like, you know what I mean? But literally that belt is for like they said, oh, he's champion in recess. Well, the recess is over. Like, well, give it back to me. But shout out to him. I mean, like, How many times do we always hear, low risk, high reward? And this is a low risk, low reward fight for Manny Pacquiao. Even if us as hardcores, we know it's a tough Cuban, standout amateur, a guy in a role, like you said, right? Arguably should have beaten Porter. I get all that. The casual fan doesn't know that. A lot of fans don't know that. And if Manny Pacquiao comes out and blows him out, he ain't going to get the credit he deserves for doing it outside of us hardcores. It's just the way it is. And maybe his fans, of course. And shout out to the Philippines, by the way. And Italy. I saw a dude from Italy earlier, like somewhere. But Milan, Italy. Shout out to Italy. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And by the way, if you're in there, make sure to subscribe to D-Style Boxing as well. And this is the nightmare scenario to me for boxing is if Ugas wins this fight. To me, that's a nightmare scenario, sort of like Saddam Ali beating Cotto, although Cotto did good things after that. But if my fear too is if Pacquiao barely beats Ugas, they're not going to give Ugas the credit that he deserves, and they're not going to give Pacquiao the credit that he deserves for taking on a tough fight on a week and a half notice. So I hope that people do.
I just don't. Let me just tell you guys right now. When is the last time, I'm not saying it never happened, that a short notice fight happened and the Southpaw lost to the Orthodox? Like, the only one I can think of is Martinez Williams, and in my opinion, Williams didn't win that fight.
You didn't think Williams won that fight?
No, I thought Martinez won.
Okay.
That should have been my crowning jewel. I was the only one in the YTBC picking Martinez to win, but that's not why I thought it was.
Isn't that Southpaw? No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Southpaw, and but hey, look, you know what's another crazy thing about Manny, bro? I don't know of any like super serious injuries he's had. This is a really durable dude. Like, he's a durable motherfucker, bro. Like I'm just saying, like, what the hell is does Manny do? Like,
it's like Tom Brady, right? It's like Tom Brady.
Well, it's more impressive than Tom.
LeBron James. Like LeBron, when's the last time you saw LeBron James have a series? A couple of years ago, he had one, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, like that. I would argue that this is more impressive.
He had the shoulder. He had the shoulder issue before the Mayweather fight. Don't know how serious that was. I do believe he had a procedure. After
he still fought.
Still fought. Yeah, you're right. So I can't think of a fight that he had to back out of due to an injury. I can't. And
let me tell you, Casimero,
he's fought a quarter of a century, dude. A quarter of a century.
Everyone's like, I want to hear about Casimero. Like, whoa, bro. Like, we're gonna get there. We promise you guys, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, but I just wanted to touch on the Pacquiao thing because that's what everybody's been wanting to hit on, and our thoughts on that, because it's just a tough year for boxing. 2021 has been a tough year for boxing with guys pulling out. Spence is the latest in that. Just a tough thing. But at the same time, at least we're getting a top 6-7 welterweight battle, because we would consider probably Manny number 2 right now, behind Terrence Crawford if he wins this fight, because Spence he'd go ahead of Spence. We'd still have Crawford number 1 possibly, or do we put Pacquiao ahead of Crawford? I don't know. If Crawford beats Porter, maybe not. Crawford's the king of the division. Depending on where you have these guys ranked, I don't know. But it's the shining light of that division, and the shining light of boxing right now is still Manny Pacquiao, 42 and a half years old. And it's tough right now watching these younger fighters not step up, not take that torch and carry it on. You have guys like Canelo, Pacquiao, Chocolatito showing these guys how it should be done, right? Fighting top competition. As far as Canelo, fighting often, trying to unify his division, trying to become undisputed. And as far as Chocolatito, he's going to fight Estrada a second time. Still, at his age, you have legends doing legendary things, and that's why they're climbing the rankings. I don't care how many losses they have. I don't care about your O. All right? If Pacquiao has 6, 7, doesn't matter to me. He's fighting these guys. He's fighting the legends of his sport. He's fighting the top guys in his division.
You know what it reminds me?
Chocolatito too.
It's like those bowl games in college when like the 7-3 team from like a tough conference, faces like a undefeated team in a weak conference, and then they get blown out. Like the undefeated team gets destroyed, and everybody, like, wow, they were undefeated. I don't get how they beat them. Yeah, because they were in a weak division. The other team lost to better opposition. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. By the way, if you're down with Manny Pacquiao, hit the like button. Right? If you're down with Manny Pacquiao, hit that like to show us that you're down with Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean?
Hit that like. But it's tough watching these guys follow the Money Mayweather blueprint when Money Mayweather didn't follow the Money Mayweather blueprint early in his career. We already highlighted on this channel how he fought 7 times in 1998, was Ring Fighter Magazine Fighter of the Year, beat Genaro Hernandez, and then defended that 2 months later against Angel Manfredi. Unfortunately, later in his career, Mayweather took the low risk, high reward Sun Tzu Art of War path, unfortunately. And he's fighting Logan Paul. Well, Manny Pacquiao is trying to fight Errol Spence, and now fighting Ugas. So when I see guys take these chances, they climb. You already know where I stand on this. And people who follow my channel know how I stand on this. As long as guys are taking risks, I give them that credit that other fighters are not. Even if you have an O on your record, I don't care. Give me the guys with the resume. Give me the guys taking chances. Give me the Carl Froches who have a low ceiling but are fighting 12 straight tough fights. Give me Chocolatito all day, who was easily the fighter of the decade from 2010 to 2019, and people had Mayweather as their fighter of the decade. It's frustrating to watch. But Manny Pacquiao is doing that for Viet raps react when Manny Pacquiao always have to dig it out of the mud, defending his own belt against Ugas at 42. And I'm seeing a lot of that too. Is a lot of people are frustrated with maybe Manny Pacquiao is a guy who is on the A side but gets a short end of the stick as far as some decisions. And some went his way, some not. I mean, Tim Bradley, Horn. Those are tough ones to swallow, the first one and then Horn. But a lot of the other ones are close. The Marquez fights, they were close. Could have went either way. You can't really knock those. But I'm seeing a lot of that as well. But, I mean, props to Pacquiao for doing this. And let's get into Casamero versus Rigo. Rigo. We got Philippines versus Cuba. What do you think is going to happen here? I love this fight.
Back-to-back weeks, too. Back-to-back weeks. I wish
Nonito Donaire would have stayed on this date. We could have had an all-Filipino showdown. Casamero versus Donaire. I love that matchup. But it's one of those weird things in boxing when Rigo steps off of the date, step aside money, and then steps right back in when Donaire pulls out of the fight. Unfortunately, Donaire pulled out of the fight. I was really looking forward to Casimero Donaire. And then if you would have had that, then you would have had Undisputed against Inoue later in the year. But now I think we got a semifinals matchup thing going on, right? You're going to have Casamero Rigo, and then you're going to have Inoue Donaire, hopefully in Japan later in the year. And then you're going to have, hopefully, the winners of those two fights facing off in 2022. What do you think about Casamero versus Rigo?
First of all, I think it's a great fight. I agree with you. I mean, first of all, I got to be honest. I don't know why Rigo took the step aside money to begin with. He's up there in age. He needs to do what he needs to do. You know what I mean? But he took it for whatever reason, and I was excited. I was like, hey, let's do this. Nonito Donaire versus freaking Casimero. Let's go. You know what I mean? I was pumped. And I thought this was going to be a come-out party for Casimero. I honestly thought he was going to win this fight. And I understand Nonito looked spectacular in his last fight against Obali, but I thought, this is going to be, Casimero's night. But I was like 60-40 about it. I knew Donaire had a shot. And I felt I still feel like a Casimero freaking Inoue fight's a beast of a fight. Like that's a fight that has to happen. Even if Casimero loses, like at some point, that's like a fight I need to see. But Rigo takes step aside money, and I still don't fully understand the situation with Donaire and Casimero. I just know they call their wife a couple of names. Both sides are accusing each other of not doing this. Whatever, the fight doesn't happen. Rigo steps back and he gets a double check. You know what I mean? He gets one check, then okay, second check, so he's going to do the fight. I am torn on this one. I'm going with Casimero because I believe Rigo's legs aren't there anymore. And even if his legs were there, I would have to think about it. But I just think Casimero is going to outwork him. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be easy, though. I think Rigo is going to be very defensive. He's going to be countering a lot. He's going to win rounds. Also, Rigo hits hard for this division, man. That's another thing people don't keep in mind. Rigo can crack in this division. He knocked out Ceja. Okay, for those that don't know, Ceja went a very controversial decision against the Figueroa kid who just stopped Neri. You know what I mean? So he could crack, and that was at a weight class above, by the way. So we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what Rigo has to offer, but Casimero in a tight fight, competitive fight, right? I think it's going to edge it out by being the more active fighter. It's going to outwork him, I think. So that's what I see happening in this fight.
He's closer to his prime, right? I mean, he's closer to his prime than Rigo. We talked about it. 39 on the birth certificate, but he's probably closer to mid-40s. And he depends on reflexes, right? I mean, he depends on reflexes. He's a reflex fighter. Casamaro can be a pattern fighter. So you would say, okay, that plays into Rigo's hands. But the issue is Casamaro is in his prime right now, right? There's a reason Casamaro is the favorite. He's minus 258 favorite. Rigo is plus 200. Now, I would advise you, all right, if you think it's a toss-up fight, there's value in there to bet Rigo. Even if you think, like myself, that Casamaro is going to win the fight, there's still value there in saying at plus 200, Rigo is a little undervalued. As a fighter there. So you still might want to throw a little money down on Rigo, especially if you think he's going to win the fight. The issue that I see with Rigo is, like you said, he's up there in age. Reflexes won't be there. Probably in his 40s. Casamaro is close to his prime. Casamaro has pop. The thing that Rigo has going for him too is the only time he's lost is moving all the way up to 130 to fight a guy at 130 who there's not too many people who's ever fought at 130 who would have beat Lomachenko at 130, right? I mean, Lomachenko at that point in time at 130 was close to unbeatable. Rigondeaux goes up there, loses, but he's back down to 118. So you could say, okay, is it going to be weight drained at 118? I don't think so. So he's still tough at 118. He's still tough at the division. Hasn't lost close to that division.
No.
So he has all that going for him. I just can't get past the age thing. I just can't get past to the reflexes. Will he be able to have the reflexes to hold Casamaro off of him? Because Casamaro he's a pattern fighter. Yes, he can be timed, but the guy gets it going. He's got punching power. And I just think off of activity alone, I think he's going to win this thing by decision because I don't think either fighter is going to knock each other out. I don't think that Casamaro is going to be overwhelming the way Lomachenko was because of the size difference. So I don't think there's going to be a type of thing where Rigondeaux quits in the corner. And I definitely don't think Rigondeaux is going to get stopped. But I do believe that Casamaro will be able to overwhelm him with activity. So I got Casamaro winning this fight. And hopefully, like you, I don't completely know what happened with the situation with Donaire's wife and all that good stuff. And VADA, according to Casamaro's team, they're doing VADA testing. And they passed all the VADA testing. So I don't know what's going on, but I'll say this. I hope that Donaire in Inoue is made later this year. I don't know what the holdup is. From what I understand, it's with everything going on in Japan that we've seen. So hopefully they can get that fight made because Donaire versus Inoue 2, Inoue versus Donaire 2, and then you have a semifinals matchup. I think that Inoue versus Casamaro is an interesting matchup as well because I do think that, I don't know how you feel on this, I do think Inoue would beat Donaire in the rematch. I just think Inoue is too much at this point. Inoue is just an absolute beast, man. Arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So how do you see that fight playing out if there's a rematch? And shout out to Viet Raps React. What is your opinion on Errol Spence detached retina? We already hit on that. And I mean, my opinion on it is look, I know a lot of people are out there saying we need to get medical records. They're not going to release medical records. It's a HIPAA violation.
Well, I don't think it's a detached retinal unfairness. It's a tear or something like that, from what I heard. So it's not as serious as, let's say, what Sugar Ray Leonard had, which originally retired him, but he did come back, right? So it's not impossible to come back from it. But he should be back within a year or so.
Yeah.
Which is a long time, but
it is a long time. From what I hear, it's a month, and then but they still got a lot of stuff. It's an eye. You don't want to mess around with the eye. So anybody out there have questions, we're doing Q&A as well. So if you have questions in the chat.
It's like that Aerosmith song, you know what I mean? There's something wrong with boxing today. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with the eyes. Da-da-da, da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like two eyes. You know what I mean?
And by the way, subscribe to our boy G Funky and subscribe to my guy D Style Boxing right here as well. But look, man, y'all hit us up with questions in the chat as well. While we're talking, I'll pull up questions. If y'all have questions in the chat, we'll answer them. But what do you think about Inoue versus Donaire too? Do you think that that's a possibility for Donaire to win that fight? Because I just think Inoue is a runaway freight train right now. He's a runaway freight train.
I can't count out Donaire. But
two-handed fighter now, right?
He's got a really good right hand now. The hook is definitely there. Can't count him out, but here's my but. I don't know. I just think like he had the night of his life. Like it's how I feel about it against Inoue, and you know, it's like that. You know, and he looked great against Obali. So it's not like it's just this one performance, but I don't think he beats Inoue.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Inoue is arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now. We go Canelo off a resume, but you can really say 1A, 1B. And by the way, will Casamaro beat Rigo? In the poll, it's 80% so far that people think that Rigo.
99 people have voted. You should close it while this poll's over. Throw in the damn towel for this poll. He ain't gonna win.
Winning that poll 80-20 with 100 votes. 80% have Casamaro winning. And that seems to be, I saw a lot of panels out there as well. That seems to be in the wheelhouse, right? I mean, 8 out of 10 people, it seems to be that. 7 out of 10 think that Casamaro is going to win this fight. And I think it has a lot to do with him being close to his prime and the lack of activity for Rigo as well. Freddie Roach once said that Rigondeaux is the most talented fighter he's ever seen in his life. That's high praise coming from Freddie Roach. I don't know if he was just overpraising Rigo at the time, but that's what it's a quote out there from Freddie Roach. The issue with Rigo is not always active, not an entertaining style. Only 21 fights in 12 years as a pro, 13 years as a pro. He's up there in age now. I just think it's Casamaro's time. It's Casamaro's time at 118. And that's why I wanted to see the Casamaro Donaire fight. I wanted to see that because Donaire was coming off of a big win against Ubali. I just wanted to see that. Yeah. All Filipino showdown. That would have been for the top Filipino fighter at 118. And then they take on the monster from Japan and Inoue for all the marbles. For all the marbles.
Todos the marbles. And I want to let people know right now, man, just if you can, you know what I mean, for everybody listening right now, you know, if you're picking, you know, Casimero to win, okay? If that's who you're picking to win, just do this for me right now. Give us a nice power punch. Give us a boxing glove emoji in the chat right now.
Like it.
Give us a boxing glove emoji in the chat if you believe that Casimero will be winning. If you're part of Team Casimero, let's put a boxing glove emoji in the chat right now. That's all.
And by the way, later on, we're going to have boxing trivia as well. So somebody's going to have a shot at knocking off RunPMC, who is the boxing Power Punchers boxing trivia diamond belt champion. And Nando Llamas, I see him in the chat as well. He's going to have a shot at knocking RunPMC off. Nando Llamas was the inaugural champ, right?
And look at all those gloves. Look at those gloves in the chat, bro. It's a beautiful sight.
Look at all those gloves. And this is a good question here. Inoue versus Casamaro. Is there any chance for Casamaro in this fight? There's a chance. Yes, there's a chance. I just think that Inoue is a beast. Like Inoue that's a special fighter, man. Like Inoue is that type of fighter that lower weight class, but he does not punch like a guy in a lower weight class. Like he has one punch knockout power. You heard Tank Davis. I don't know if you saw the interview with Tank Davis. Tank Davis doesn't give out a lot of props. Like he's not a guy who is overly congratulatory to fighters. But Tank Davis was talking about Inoue, and he was telling his boys in the gym, he's like, you need to watch this guy fight. His punch placement is second to none. Wherever this guy wants to hit you, that's where he's going to hit you. And we saw it in his last fight. The punch placement, once he saw that he had the guy hurt to the body, he kept hitting the same exact spot. I'd say there's a reason that Canelo and Inoue are top 2 pound for pound is because they're the top 2 punch placement fighters in the sport. And that's why ultimately I can't pick anybody over Inoue. Yes, Casamaro is going to have his moments. Yes, Casamaro is a great fighter in his own right. But Inoue is Inoue, man. Inoue is a beast. Just a beast. You think Casamaro has a shot in that fight?
Yes, I do. I mean, look, do I think he's going to win?
Because he has power too, right?
Yeah, of course he has power. He's got tremendous power. You know what I mean? But, bro, there is – look, let me just say this. We have, like, Rungasai. He's big for 115. He could go to 118. That's a dude that could get in the mix. I would love to see him in the mix. Anacajas, that's a dude that could move up. He can get in the mix. You know, if Gallo Estrada ever moves up, I mean, just think about the potential of 118. Like it's, bro, you wouldn't know it, obviously, if we pay attention to the higher weight classes, but they're getting it on in the lower weight classes. They're having trilogies, they're fighting each other. One gets injured, a dude jumps in, okay, fine, I'll fight him. It's on. Like, it's on right now. You know, I'm just saying, I'm pumped. And by the way, it's Philippines versus Cuba back-to-back weekends, bro.
It is. And I want to stress that as well is the lower weight classes. You have a lot of people, even hardcore boxing fans, even guys with YouTube channels who have a lot of subscribers who do not talk about the lower weight classes the way they should. These guys are mixing it up. Chocolatito versus Estrada, so far you would say is the fight of the year, correct? They're going to do it again. And these guys are not getting paid as well in the lower weight classes, which means they have to take more chances. They throw with more punch output, which means they're more entertaining. All right, so you get more pop for your money in the lower weight classes. You get more entertainment in the lower weight classes. And oh, by the way, you get great technical ability as well in the lower weight classes. So go to the lower weight classes, man, if you're frustrated. Go to I started following years ago when 916 Chris would send me the streams of fights from Japan, and I'd be like, holy crap, these guys are throwing down. Because he was all about the fight. So he's like, watch these guys fight. They get down. And sure enough, he was right. And that's how I fell in love with the lower weight classes, man. Down there, it's a thing of beauty. And when you see weight classes like 147, what's going on at 160 with top guys avoiding each other as well, those guys are pampered up there in the higher weight classes. What you see going on in the heavyweight division. The lower weight classes is where it's at. Yep. And shout out to the Houston Oilers. Yeah, I had to rep that. And shout out to the HCP as well. Find all that good content on HCP. I can't stress this enough. D-Style Boxing, G-Funky84. Hit up those channels, subscribe to those channels, and follow all those good shows. And by the way, go to my channel and you can catch the playlist, Power Punches playlist, and you can catch the prediction playlist as well. I got my official prediction on the channel for this fight, Casamaro versus Rego. I picked Casamaro by decision on the channel. I just think it's going to be too much activity. He's going to be a problem for Rigo. Rigo's up there in age. The reflexes won't be there. To me, it's close to a toss-up fight, but Casamaro's closer to his prime. He's just closer to his prime, and it's his time. It's his time at 118, and I think he's going to angle himself in to fight the winner of Inoue versus Donaire too, which I believe will happen later on this year. Hopefully. You know how 2021 boxing is, D-Style. You know how it is. So we can't say
Do
for
you
sure
think
that-
like the blazer and the sunglasses, you think intimidated Donaire a little bit? You know what I mean? Because he had that swag, you know what I mean, at that face off. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Who knows? but I will say though, do you think that's still possible? Like, let's say Casimero wins and Donaire somehow beats Inoue, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, you got to do Casimero Donaire after that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like
You have to. They got to figure. And I just saw it as an overreaction, right? I just saw it as an overreaction. And it seemed to me, be a 50-50 thing. You had a lot of people saying, oh, it was past the line. You can't. But she's the manager. She's the manager, right? I mean, you have to have thick skin. I don't condone what his manager said to her. I don't condone that at all. That's not what we do here. But at the same time, man, you're in the boxing world. It's an anti-PC world.
Did he say it like knowing that's his wife, or did he say it like
I don't know,
the manager?
Like I said, I don't know the full context. But what I'll say is,
don't cut out the manager, though. Don't cut out the managers. You know?
It's just frustrating because this could have been a big weekend for Donaire, right? He could have won this fight, followed up on the Obali win, and he's up there in age. Well, so he can't waste time. And then you win that fight, and guess what? Inoue's right there. But I guess he's looking at it too, like let Casamaro and Rigo fight. I can go straight to Inoue. If I win that fight, then I'll fight for undisputed next year. He can look at it that way as well. But hit that like button as y'all come in. Am I the only Filipino betting on Rigo? Seabass says, I don't know if you are, but like I said, my betting advice, I'm a bettor. My betting advice is to always look at the value. And the value here is for Rigo. The value here is for Rigo, right? I think Casamaro is going to win the fight on points. I think he's going to win by unanimous decision. But at the same time, when you look at plus 200, that means that Rigo is a sizable underdog here. He's more of an underdog that Pacquiao was for Spence. So if you think Rigo is a live dog here, if you even have this as a toss-up fight, or if you think Rigo is going to win the fight, throw some money down on Rigo. See if it sticks. So that's what I'm saying too. I am betting, throwing some money down on Rigo.
It's like I'm giving Rigo like a 40%, 35% chance to win. I thought that's really good odds in gambling, you know. So
yeah, it is. Now, fantasy fight Inoue versus Manny, who fought Barrera, who would win? That's a tough one because it's not the same weight classes, correct?
Yeah, that fight happened at 126 or 130. I don't remember, but.
So I guess we're saying Inoue would move up in weight. I just think Manny would be too much, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but Inoue is way like Manny really hit his like he was a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, at flyweight and bantamweight, he was a good fighter. But Manny really got good. Like I'm talking really, really good. You know, 126 and above is where Manny got good. You know what I mean? So
like special good.
Yeah.
Like he was good before, but that's when it started to be like, okay, who the hell is this guy?
Right. Like so that's the thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So I mean, I would say Manny. I would obviously say Manny there. I just think
it's a better question would be at bantamweight when Manny was at bantamweight and you know or whatever, right? Or Inoue was the bantamweight, who would win? It's a tough one. I got to be honest. That's a tough fight.
The Manny that fought Hatton is dangerous as well, obviously.
That was at 130. He'd be a little too big for Inoue right there. You know what I mean? But
that's an interesting question too, being that we said 2 Hall of Fame careers in one with Manny Pacquiao. What would you say to you was like the peak Manny Pacquiao? Like the peak? The peak
Manny Pacquiao was right after the rematch with Marquez. He went through that tear and that run, beating up these big welterweights. People just don't. I don't think they put it in perspective what he did. I mean, that would be like Tank Davis moving up and beating Spence and Crawford, and you know what I mean. And probably even that's as impressive, but because of where Manny started. But I think that's the peak. The whole Cotto thing, and then even the Clottey win, that run to me.
He made Clottey look like nobody. Like Clottey was a guy who was avoided at 147 by top fighters, and he made him look like nobody.
Yeah, like his peak was somewhere between all that. That was the peak that I don't think he reached before or after. But although he did great things before and after that, but that's the peak. Now, the most impressive it could be, believe it or not, now, like because of his age, because of where he started and all that. Man, if Manny can beat, he just beats, 2 years ago, he beat Thurman. Mm-hmm. If he beats Ugas, and let's say he comes back and beats another welterweight, we can be in the verge of seeing like his best run given the circumstance.
Sort of like a Bernard Hopkins move, right? Late in his career, beating Jean Pascal, probably should have beat him twice.
But the crazy part is that guys with like the fast twitch guys like Manny, they usually have short careers, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's still going.
Right. You know what I consider? I did the top 10 victories in Manny Pacquiao's career on the channel. And people disagree with me on this, but I think his top victory, if you look back at it, could be Oscar De La Hoya. And people might say, oh, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. But he went into a different stratosphere at that point. Like Manny Pacquiao became great fighter to international superstar after that fight. And you got to remember, to the hardcore boxing fans out there who are poo-pooing this, he was a 3-1 underdog going into that fight. You had more people than not picking De La Hoya in that fight because they thought he was going to be too big for Manny. Oh, it's crazy. There's no way he can go to welterweight. He's too small. There's no way he can have success at welterweight. And he went in there and destroyed Oscar De La Hoya. So given what he was walking into with the betting odds and the fact that turned him into an international superstar in boxing, you could argue that's his greatest win, and that's peak Manny Pacquiao. I think I would argue that. Because that and then the run he went on after that, like you mentioned, when he destroyed Cotto, my guy, Miguel Cotto, destroyed him, fought Margarito, a junior middleweight.
You want to know what's crazy, Alex, is that do you think he was even I don't think he was planning to stay at welterweight.
I don't think so either.
I think they were like, you know what, we'll fight Miguel Cotto because he's got short arms. He's short for the division. All that good stuff, right? Like that's kind of, I think, and it was like, okay, well, we're gonna try to win this title, and then we're gonna come back down to 140, and I'll dominate this division. But then once he beat Cotto, it was like, hey, you know what? I might just set up shop right here. I think that's what he did. That's why he never fought another catchweight at 147 again. Like, I feel good right here. Let's go. You know what I mean? He tried at 154 against Margarito, then he said, yeah, I don't know about that shit. You know what I mean? Then he went back down. You know what I mean?
But when we thought that looked easy, but he's like, you know what? That was pretty hard.
Well, because it's possible for something to be like where you win, but like the few times you got hit did more damage than you're used to. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So it's kind of like, I'm sure there's some welterweights right now that could go up in middleweight and kick some ass, but the punches they're taking are just more devastating, right?
Staying there. Staying there. Yeah, it is. So I tend to agree with you. And by the way, hit that like button and give us those gloves as well. Let us know you're in there. But I agree with you that I don't think he intended to stay there. I think they were shocked at how great they looked at 147. And we're like, you know what? I don't know. Y'all hit us up in the chat, by the way, and let us know what's Manny Pacquiao's greatest win? What's his peak? What's his peak? I want to see what everybody thinks.
His crowning win, I mean,
140? I
don't know. And it's not that he doesn't have any; he has a lot. So give me a moment, guys. You know what I mean? But you know what? People don't mention this one a lot, but I gotta say it. Like, what the destruction
Barrera
of
was.
Marco Antonio Barrera. What he did to Barrera, forcing his brother to come in and throw in a towel like that. That was dramatic, by the way. His brother like hugged Barrera in the end, like I had to stop this shit. And what people don't need to understand, man, he was an underdog. Barrera was in a hell of a run. And not only did he beat him, it's not just that he beat him, it's how he beat him. And to me, Calix, nothing like to this day, I just don't get it. Like everyone knows Barrera was the champion. Everybody knows that. Like everyone knows he was the dude. So when people say, well, Manny didn't really win the title because Barrera vacated it, that's not Manny's problem. He beat the dude. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck if there wasn't like a WBA title or whatever on the line. He was a champion of that division. And to me, that is, I don't know if it's a crowning achievement or not, but you got to put that one up there because of where Barrera was and what Manny meant after that. You know, that was his coming out party in the U.S. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm seeing it all over the place, and that just goes to tell you the long career and all the great wins. Because the Cotto fight sticks out with me, being that I'm a Cotto fan, and Cotto had some success the first couple rounds, but that version of Pacquiao with the killer instinct and just being relentless and relentless and relentless and being able to break down bigger fighters with precision punching. The fact that he was hitting you with punches that you couldn't see that hurt, that cut and cut and cut, and just being relentless and stopping Cotto late in the fight, that was impressive to me. But I can't get over the Ricky Hatton win either. I mean, he just went in there. The Ricky Hatton win was another one, like De La Hoya, where it was like the world was sort of like, who in the hell is this guy?
You know what's crazy about the Ricky Hatton fight? The thing with the Ricky Hatton fight is that he beat him. Like he made it. Like if you never watch boxing, right, and you sit down and you watch Manny fight Ricky Hatton, you'll probably assume like, oh, what is this, like a tune-up for this dude? Like he just fought like a nobody to get ready for the next fight or what? Like that's how he beat him up, bro. Ricky Hatton beat Costa Sioux. Ricky Hatton, I don't care what anybody says, was getting Floyd Mayweather a hell of a fight for the first 5 rounds. I don't care what anybody says, right? So Floyd, adjusted and ended up stopping him late, but he went in there and just steamrolled the dude. I mean, and not only that, bro, that's probably the best his hook, the right hook looked his whole career. The right hook was on point. And Hatton didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. Like he kept getting clipped with the hook, and then when he started, he's like, "Okay, I better pay attention to the hook." Straight left, it was over.
Yeah, that was the no fear shorts, Manny Pacquiao with the cut in the middle. That was like peak Manny right there.
No, I don't.
You didn't mess with that guy. You didn't mess with that guy at all. What about the Pacquiao that fought? I was actually at that fight when he fought Shane Mosley, and he just. Like Shane had nothing.
You know what Manny showed in that fight was his jab. He had a really, really good jab. He showed people, I do got a jab. Go back and watch that fight. He utilized his jab in that fight. So
yeah, the frosted tips with the no fear shorts. That you could argue that's prime Manny too.
What about the Margarito win?
I'm seeing a lot of that in the chat too. It's like that Margarito win. What he did to Margarito, he just chopped him up. He just chopped him up and damaged the eye completely forever.
Oh. And that was him, by the way. That was him showing mercy towards the end.
I know.
He stopped targeting the eye because he knew I'm gonna fuck this dude up like more. So he started throwing hooks. Like, can you just imagine? I don't give a fuck. Like he might have killed Margarito. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but he probably would have because that motherfucker was crazy enough to be willing to die in the ring. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was. He was, and his corner wasn't stopping the fight. I was disappointed in that as well because there was no need to go on. But he softened him up for Cotto in that rematch. That's for sure. That's for sure. He softened him up for Cotto. He did Cotto some good and softened him up because he really damaged and tore up Margarito. So there's a lot of wins you can go with.
Well, I mean, you could make an argument that Cotto started the eye damage.
True.
For the first fight, you know what I mean? But Manny just tore him up, bro. That was in Dallas Stadium too, right?
That's true.
true.
Yeah, it was. And this is true too. He was glancing at the referee like, what do you want me to do? Are you going to stop? You going to step in?
Oh, you want me to kill the dude? Like, is this an execution or a fight? What's going on over here? You know, and the thing is that, you know, Manny has shown some, just really quick, like, you know, we always hear fighters, they need a killer instinct, like, you know, stuff like that. But there's been times where, like, Freddie had to tell him, hey, step on the gas, you know, and Manny, I mean, I got it. Like, it's over. Like, for example, let me show you some examples. And these are all examples of great fighters. I saw fights where Andre Ward hurt guys and he was looking at the ref like, yo, this dude's done. You know what I mean?
Roy did that.
Roy did it. I saw Canelo like caved in the eye socket of Billy Joe and they didn't punch him there anymore. It goes back to his corner and also like, oh, you know what it is? It's over. It's over. His eye fuck up. You know, it's over. You know, like he told him that the fight's over. Like I broke his eye. You know what I mean? So he literally stopped targeting him in that eye because he knew he had already caved in. Manny Pacquiao, like Roach had to constantly remind him, just keep jumping on De La Hoya, like. And it just seemed like Manny reached the point in the De La Hoya fight where he kind of knew, like, this shit's over, bro. Like, I don't need to go all out anymore, you know? And the same thing in the Margarito fight, the last 3 rounds, he kind of just stepped out of the gas. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he could have stopped him late in that fight, but he just decided not to because he might have killed the dude, you know? So, like, how much of a quote-unquote killer instinct do you really need to be a great fighter? You know,
true.
I question
if you're special. This is
Maybe
another one too. The David Diaz was a great performance as well. Although we would argue that David Diaz wasn't a top. He was probably what would you say, like 4 or 5 at 135? There were other top fighters out there.
Diaz, the Baby Bull Diaz, and David Diaz. They're all champions.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue the other 2 Diaz were better.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we really don't know that because they never fought. You know what I mean? Like we could assume all we want because I'm going to be honest with you right now. When they booked David Diaz and Cedric Morales, I thought Morales was going to win that fight because I thought to myself, my logic was he was having a hard time making 130. So Kim Morales, now you're at a weight class that's good for you. Let's go. And he had a hell of a fight with Morales that could have gone either way, if I'm honest, right? I thought Morales won, but that's nothing new. But it could have gone either way. So he showed, like, if you go 12 rounds with Morales in a competitive fight, should he be getting destroyed and dominated? Well, he was. By the way, that was the last Southpaw Pacquiao fight, by the way.
Is it? That's right. He hasn't fought a Southpaw since, right?
I was trying to get him ATP, but I'm like, once the Spence fight was often. Yeah, is what it is.
And I'm putting another poll out there. Everybody answer the poll. Will this be Manny Pacquiao's last fight? I'm with you. I don't think this being the swan song with Ugas. Spence maybe, but I don't think Ugas is going to be the swan song. I think we're going to see another fight after this. Like I said, I don't know anything about the politics out over there in Philippines or much at all. So I don't know what his political aspirations are. I heard he may be running for president later this year. Or I don't know. I just hope that he returns to the ring after this because it just feels like unfinished business at this point. If the Spence fight falls through, and this is the last fight. Hopefully we get him possibly against the winner of Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter if they fight, right? That's another fight that's out there.
You know, wouldn't it be crazy? Like, I think he would be the first boxer in history. I could be wrong, of course. I don't know. But I think he might be the first boxer in history to become the president of his country.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
There's been congressmen before. There's been, I don't even know there's been another senator like that level, like Manny is already, but president? Dude,
yeah, no.
Like you're the president, presidente. Holy shit, bro.
And it seems believable, right? So
could you imagine? Like he's doing the union address, and some dude trying to step up to him. Dude, what? They're gonna get knocked out. You better step the hell out of the way. You know what I'm just saying?
hit him with a left hand.
Did you ever watch in the Ukraine when like all the politicians were all fighting, right? All attacking each other, and Vitaly just like leans on some, like just waiting for somebody.
I know.
No one pulled up. None of the dudes pulled up, bro. He's just
like somebody bring that energy this way. I dare you. I dare you.
Yeah, right.
But what do you think about these fantasy matchups, real quick? Pacquiao versus Canelo at 154 catch weight. If it was Canelo 154 Canelo, not Canelo now. So 154 Canelo is not the same beast that we see at 168.
So like the Pacquiao that fought Margarito versus like the Canelo that fought like.
Let's say the Canelo that fought Baldomir. Or let's better yet say the Canelo that fought Trout. Let's go with that.
You know what? I'm gonna have to say that I did
Canelo
see
be too big.
I saw some lightweight. I saw some like lighter dudes give Canelo some problems. Okay, he ended up stopping him late or something like that, and Khan gave him some problems. You know, he ended up stopping him, but still. But and that was a later Canelo. That Canelo, like the Canelo that fought like Matthew Haddon, Baldomir, was too green, I think, for Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao would probably outwork him because Canelo at that time, if you don't think he throws a lot now, he didn't throw a lot back then. And he would take like 3 or 4 rounds off every fight. If you remember, like people question his stamina, and he was just too green at that point. Manny Pacquiao was a veteran, you know what I mean, like crafty veteran. So it wouldn't be easy, and Manny would probably say "fuck this shit" and move back down afterwards. But I think Canelo might win.
That's a tough one.
Pacquiao might win, but it's a tough one.
That's a tough one. That's like a toss up to me. I just think that maybe Canelo would be too big at 154, but the Canelo that the Pacquiao that fought Margarito, maybe so. Maybe so. That's a tough one for me. What do you think about? I saw in the chat as well, Prime Pacquiao versus Prime Duran. Who you got in that one?
Oh boy,
that's another.
Sorry, guys. So Prime Duran. You guys saying 135?
135, probably, right?
Okay, 135. Because 147. Let me put it this way: the cut up Duran, like the one with the 6-pack and all that shit, that fought Sugar Leonard the first time, I have to favor Duran. The soft, pudgy body Duran at welterweight, I probably favor Pacquiao. Okay, I never seen Pacquiao pudgy shit. Like the Duran that got that, you know, he got his meal ticket, he got his big payday, he had a lot of cake and orange juice. The dude ate his favorite meal was orange juice with a steak. I don't know what that's but that I don't know about that now. Now lightweight, I gotta be honest, I would favor Duran.
Right, 147 is a different beast though. 147, I might favor Pacquiao over Duran. 135, I might favor Duran over Pacquiao. It's close. It's close. Either way, somebody's saying Ryan Garcia. Is that Ryan Garcia the GOAT? I'm not so sure Ryan Garcia's the GOAT. But Pacquiao at welterweight versus Duran, I would say probably Pacquiao at welterweight, and I would definitely favor Duran at 135, I would say. So that's just my opinion on that. Let's see what else we got. Prime Mayweather versus Prime Pac. That's another one that people still throw out there because it was later on in their careers, correct? So that fight took 6 years to make, 5-6 years to make. Went on for too long. I just think 2009, that's a different ball game. Let's say that fight happens in 2009. You see it playing out different?
Mayweather Pacquiao?
Yes. 2009.
Yes, I do.
I see it playing out different. I think that Pacquiao's, let's say, killer instinct, I just think that he was going to...
I think it plays out different right now. That's what I think.
Yeah, obviously right now. Because if the Mayweather that showed up against Logan Paul shows up, it plays out different.
Look, in fairness to Mayweather, he did say like I'm done fighting real fighters. He did say that. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't like. He didn't. that's like an admission to me that he ain't fighting at that level anymore. And so I get it, but I think 2009 though, to answer your question, and that's kind of what I answered earlier, that was a peak Pacquiao. You know what I mean? And I think that Pacquiao, that Pacquiao's so good. Like you ask that to a hardcore Mayweather fan, their answer's going to be, well, Pacquiao's on the juice though. That's why you would have won. Do they have any proof? No. You know what I mean? We got 2 results from Mayweather where he tested positive and this shit was never reported. Well, I got that. I got those reports. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to touch on that. But I will say that yes, and everyone knows. Who would have won? I don't know. Let's say I put that aside, but it would have been a much different fight and a much tougher fight for Mayweather.
It would have been more high pace. He would have made Mayweather fight at a higher pace in 2009 than the fight was at 2014. It was just been a higher pace, more activity in the scorecards. It would have went to the scorecards regardless. So the scorecards would have been different because Pacquiao would have been able to get more rounds on the scorecards due to activity. So it would have been a different fight in 2009, 2008, whenever. So, yeah, and like Nando says, there's a reason that Mayweather dragged this thing out. Mayweather never cared about the drug testing because if he did, his own fighters in his own gym wouldn't have been getting popped for PEDs. So it was a ploy to push this fight back and push it and build it, whatever you want to call it. And like I said, he's a Sun Tzu Art of War type fighter. You put yourself beyond defeat before you step in the ring. That's Mayweather's game plan. That's his blueprint, at least Money Mayweather. So that's what happened. There's a reason he fought Canelo when he did, because he saw, I don't want to let this storm brew. I don't want to let this brew. Let's get to it early. Let's get to this thing early before it brews. And I think that's what happened there. So any last thoughts on Pacquiao, Casamaro as well? Casamaro versus Rigo. Our official prediction, we both like Casamaro versus by decision, right?
In a tight fight, I need to stress that. You know what I mean? It's not an easy fight for Casimero, but hey, man, he's on his prime, man. You know what I mean? And if Casimero's that dude that's going to give in away a tough fight, he's got to get past Rigo. So,
and one last thing on that, as far as that I didn't touch on, is I hope we don't get Rigo stinking up the fight. I hope what we get is sort of like a Winky Wright thing, right? Where you have a defensive-minded fighter later on in his career lose reflexes and become more exciting, more of an offensive-minded fighter. Bernard Hopkins, same thing.
Hopkins, reflexes aren't there. I'm just trying to get back to the fans. You know what I mean?
Right. But you lose the reflexes, you gain entertainment later in the career. And I hope that's the Rigo that we get. I hope we get a hands-free Rigo who is throwing more punches and trying to keep up with Casimero, and we get an entertaining fight instead of a Rigo who is up there in age and tries to chop and slow the fight down because he can't keep up with Camaro.
So I agree with that 100%. But I will say this. Even if it's a boring fight, if he's outclassing Casimero, like that's the only time I excuse a boring fight. Like if you're outclassing a dude and you're making him miss and you're making him look like he ain't at your level and he's just two-stepping on the whole fight, pop, jab, move, counter. And yeah, you slow it down at times, and stuff. I mean, I'm gonna have to give the dude his props. I don't think he's gonna do that. Don't get me wrong. I don't think his legs are there anymore for it, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Prime Pacquiao versus Prime Crawford. Prime Pacquiao for me, just because I haven't seen enough for Crawford as far as the resume goes. May or may not be his fault. Everybody's got their opinions on that. I just don't have enough to go off of besides the eye test. So I would pick Pacquiao versus a Prime Crawford. And that's
by the way, I saw Brian earlier say, boxing historian say, "Oh, you guys are hating on Rego." Nah, bro, it's just a prediction, brother. But
yeah.
Last
it's
night,
the age thing, right? It's just the age thing.
It's just the age thing. We're ageist. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. and we're old, so we can do it. You know what I mean? Like you could be ageist if you're old. So
I'm 40. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm 40, so I can make fun of another 45-year-old fighter. He's probably 45. That's all I'm saying.
I'm 40. I'm a man. I remember that shit.
Come at me. Come at me. I'm a man. All right. So that's all I'm saying with that. As far as Nando was saying the Ortiz versus Mean Machine, we didn't have a chance to get at that, but Ortiz easy. I think Ortiz is going to run through Mean Machine. You see that in the betting odds as well. He's a minus 1,500, which Vegas is basically saying he's going to win this thing. He's going to win it pretty. I think he's going to run through him. And he's going to hopefully make such a statement that, you know, he can call out Crawford and it's believable that that fight can be made. Because I want to see Ortiz in those fights. I want to see Boots Ennis in those fights. Those two guys are coming up, man.
Rigo is 40 years old.
Rigo is up there. We're just saying he may or may not be the age that he says he is on the birth certificate. So, yes, I like Casimero to beat Rigo. Pacquiao versus GGG. GGG is too big. He's just too big. Mayweather wouldn't even go up there, and Mayweather's naturally bigger than Pacquiao. GGG is just too big. There's just no way. There's levels, right? There's a ceiling, right? And 154 was the ceiling where Pacquiao flirted with it, and he's like, you know what? That's a one-time deal. Dropping back down to 147 where I belong. 160 was going to be too much. But I did throw out last month or 2 months ago when you and I were talking about what if Pacquiao possibly stepped up to middleweight now that it's not as strong, that GGG's up there, or Murata, right? Maybe those guys are too big, but why not go for the 9th weight class as a swan song? If you lose, you lose. Everybody understands. You went to middleweight and you lost. Murata would be a huge fight in Asia. Pacquiao versus Murata, right?
It would, but he don't
too much.
It.
Too much. He flirted with 154, and that was too much, right?
Yeah, I agree. I don't. It's like one of those, like, even if you win, but if he just catches you with one punch, but that one punch like does damage,
yeah, true.
Why do it? You know,
like I said, Triple G's is too big, man. He would have been too big, especially back then. Too big. Sergio Martinez would have been interesting, but Triple G too big.
When Cotto won the title, that would have been the time.
Yeah, it would have. That would have been the time. Do that fight at 158 with Cotto.
Pacquiao versus Wilder. Stop.
We're getting out of hand now. So let's get to, and I hope you have your 2 questions ready. I got my 4 questions ready. Boxing trivia, RunPMC. Let us know that you are in the chat. Boxing trivia here. Everybody in the chat. We got a ton of people in the chat, so it's going to be a little more difficult to keep up with this week. We got a ton of people in there. So let me make sure I get my pencil, make sure I was answering these questions correctly.
I got my Montell Media clipboard. You know what I mean? Just let everybody know.
Follow Montell Media. And by the way, subscribe to D-Style Boxing, subscribe to G-Funky84 as well, HCP in the building. The prize is, for a week until Wednesday, you are the Boxing Trivia, Power Punches Boxing Trivia Diamond Belt Champion. All right, you have those bragging rights for a week. I will be airing the boxing trivia on my channel tomorrow for the winner. RunPMC is in the building. He is defending his diamond belt right here. He has confirmed. So this will be going up on my channel tomorrow for whoever wins. RunPMC, you got a lot of competition this week, so I hope you brought your A game. Let me get the questions ready. We got 6 questions this week. 4 from me, and then 2 from D-Style. All right, so we're going to start this thing off. Boxing trivia. This is week 5. I believe RunPMC has won 3 straight weeks. Nando Llamas won the first week. So let's see. Let's see. And yes, G-Funky will already be crying about replays in the chat. So we got to confirm back and forth that we see who got it first. So let's go.
Well, my phone's dying. There's going to be no music this week.
You got no music?
No music.
Let me see if I can get my Jeopardy music up before we start.
My phone died.
Jeopardy music. Let me get this Jeopardy music up. All right. Let me test it real quick. All right, I got to add real quick, and then we're going to go. But RunPMC is defending this Power Punches Boxing Trivia belt. So everybody get ready for RunPMC, who is a back-to-back-to-back champion. And this first question is easy. I'm giving y'all an easy one first. There's the music. All right, we got the music ready. Who won? Question number 1. Who won the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year in 2004 by defeating Clinton Woods, Roy Jones Jr., and Antonio Tarver? Go. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. And let me know if you can see anybody first. All right, I got Nando first. Glenn Johnson. He just beats RunPMC to the punch. Can you confirm that's who you got first as well? Nando Llamas?
Nando Llamas, it is. You know,
Right,
came out on fire, boom, like punched Nando. He punched RunPMC right in the mouth. Like, you know what I mean? Just right out of the gate. No
Nando's got number 1.
He's the only other champion, right?
Nando's the inaugural champion. He was the first champion, and he's coming back for his title. RunPMC. Nando is not messing around this week. He's not, and he told me that too. He's like, I'm taking RunPMC's belt. I'm taking it back. I want my belt back. All right. So that's question number 1. Nando Llamas got it. Let's go to question number 2. After 9 years as a pro, in 2006, Ricky Hatton fought in the U.S. for the first time. Who was his opponent?
Oh, come on, guys. Come on, guys. New York.
There's only one Ricky Hatton. There's only one Ricky Hatton. Na 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 na.
Nope.
Who you see got it first? Is that G-Funky?
It wasn't Castillo.
No, it wasn't. Mayweather. Colazo. RunPMC got it.
Because it comes back, the defending champion. He's like, yo, you know what I mean?
Luis Colazo, RunPMC, comes right back. He just beats Franz P to the punch. So we got RunPMC with 1. Everybody's still in this. Everybody's still in this.
I can let RunPMC be in the mix, guys. Come on.
Nando's got 1. RunPMC's got 1. All right. He did spell it wrong. Do we have some controversy here? Franz P spelled it wrong too. But I think we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Colazo. We all know Colazo. Nando is trying to start some mess. He's trying to start some mess in the chat. He wants that belt badly.
I mean, he did misspell it, but we're going to make a... you know what I mean?
I'm Alex back here. All right, I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna give him that.
If we know who it is, you're good.
All right, there's another easy one that y'all should get here. All right, we're going with easy ones this week. All right.
Oh, let's go.
Number 3. In what year was women's boxing first featured in the Olympic Games? Go.
Oh, come on.
What year?
Come on, guys. That one's easy.
Wow.
Guys.
Throw out your numbers. Get them in quick. Let's go.
It's a year, guys. Come on.
Not 08, not 04?
Nope.
Keep going. All right. PMC got it again. Y'all going to let RunPMC win again? Come on. RunPMC got 2. He got 2.
London 2012, guys.
Y'all got no respect for women's boxing? What's the deal? All right, so RunPMC's got 2. Everybody's still in the game, though. We still got 3 more questions. All right, 1 from me and 2 from D-Style. So get ready. Y'all can still win this. We got to knock RunPMC off. Man, this guy is becoming too dominant. Too dominant.
Where's she funky at? He said he was going to come back with a vengeance. What happened?
I had high hopes this week for G-Funky. I had high hopes.
I'm going to come out of retirement. We got to bring RunPMC live on the air. If he wins again next week, I want to challenge him one-on-one on a live trivia.
That's right. And if somebody can go at RunPMC and start winning some, we can have a head-to-head one day, RunPMC versus defending his belt head-to-head. So here we go with question number 4, and we're going way back with this one. We're going way back with this one. This is a tougher one. You got to be historical with this. You got to be a historical boxing fan. So this fighter was in Ring Magazine Fight of the Year. Okay, let me start again. This fighter was in the Ring Magazine Fight of the Year 5 straight years in the 1950s. Who was he? Ring Magazine Fight of the Year 5 straight years in 1950s.
I think I know who it is, but I could be wrong.
I believe it went from 55 to 59. This guy was in the Ring Magazine Fight of the Year 5 straight years. I know a lot of people are Googling out there Ring Magazine Fights of the Year. It was not Errol the Drunk Spence, by the way.
It was two. It's one of two fighters for me.
It was not Ray Robinson. It was not Rocky Marciano.
Come on, guys.
Let me look. We got Marciano, Rocky, LaMotta, Sugar Ray, Rocky, Charles Robinson.
I put in the private chat. Am I right?
It was not Rocky Balboa. It was not Manny Pacquiao. It was not Henry Armstrong. It was not Sugar Ray. It was not Sugar Ray Robinson. Y'all still got to come with the answers. It was not Fulmer. Now, Robinson was in 2 of these fights. All right? Robinson was in 2 of these fights. It was not Harry Greb. It was not Adrian Broner. It was not Adrian Broner. It was not Deontay Wilder. Maybe I went too far back with this. It was not Michael Jordan. It was not Jersey Joe Wilcott. It was not Rocky.
What's the time limit? Like, how much time are you gonna give them? Or throw it?
Right, I'm gonna give y'all 30 more seconds, man. Look, y'all have Google, right? It was not right. It was not LaMotta. It was not Apollo Creed. Wait, we got it. Carmen Basilio. We got it. Ken Nolan Giuliano. All right, we got somebody new on the board. Ken Nolan Giuliano has won. All right,
he came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere, bro.
He's a threat. He's a threat to you now, RunPMC. He's a threat. All right. So you got your 2 questions now, right? And this is sort of like a 7 degrees Kevin Bacon thing, right?
So here's the deal, guys.
Go ahead.
You may have to use Google, but Google's not going to give you the answer outright. You're going to have to either gonna have to know out of the dome, or you're going to have to do some checking. But let me explain what this. We're going to do a thing called connect, and what you're going to do is you're going to connect a fighter with another fighter, right? And the only rule is you connect them by fights. So this guy fought this guy, this guy fought this guy, this guy fought this guy, and then he fought this guy. Here are the rules. I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes. All right. Scouts, you have a timer by any chance?
I do.
Okay, we'll give you 3 minutes. These are the rules. Connect fighter A to fighter B. The first one to do it, right, claims that chain, right? Mm-hmm. But if somebody else does it with less fights, they beat you. Okay? Just putting that out there. So let's do the first one.
And by the way, I see people answering questions late. If you're doing that, you're not on live. Get back on live. You might be a minute or 2 later. All right. Yeah. So hit the live and get back to live. So go ahead. But just to clarify, you're connecting fighters. So if you're connecting, you name a 147 pounder to a 160 pounder. You're trying to connect these fighters together. Go ahead.
Right. And you're going to do it with fights. It doesn't matter who won the fights. It's the fights. That's the chain connection. Okay. We'll do this one. Heavyweight Iron Mike Tyson. Connect him with the Golden Boy, Oscar de la Hoya. Time starts now. Start with Tyson. Someone he fought, someone they fought, until you get to Oscar de la Hoya. 3 minutes. Who could do it with this fight?
You got 3 minutes. Mike Tyson to Oscar de la Hoya. Somehow link them between fighters that they fought. I don't know if they're going to get this. This is a tough one. Somebody just said Tyson, Oscar de la Hoya. It's not going to cut it. Tito Trinidad, Roy Jones. You got to connect all of them together. Jones, Hopkins, Trinidad.
The exhibition doesn't count. It's not an official fight.
Best friends, Oscar's cold deal.
The exhibition doesn't count, guys. Official fights only.
This is a tough one, fellas. A minute and a half left. Tyson to who? To who? To who? To who?
You guys got to connect it, man. You got to connect all the fights. Don't just put one name. That doesn't mean anything.
There's a chain down there. You can't just say one fighter. There's a chain. One minute left.
The Tyson Jones fight, guys, was an exhibition. It was not an official fight. It doesn't count.
It's a good guess, though.
Official fights only. I don't know what Jones James only means.
I'm Mike Tyson, Bernard Hopkins, Trinidad.
Tyson Holyfield, Roy Jones, Trinidad.
He got it. He got it with 20 seconds to spare. All right, so Tyson fought Holyfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Now you go ahead and explain it.
Well, if somebody wants to beat it, I mean, you got 20 seconds with less fight.
15 seconds. If somebody wants to get it to him closer. Etienne, Danny Williams, Kevin McBride.
There we go. I mean, it is a chain, but it doesn't go to De La Hoya, that's for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't go to De La Hoya. All right, so that got us to De La Hoya. Tyson, Holyfield, Ruiz, RJJ to Trinidad.
RunPMC just won with that.
That's impressive. I didn't think he was going to get that.
RunPMC just won with that, guys. We could do another one just for fun.
Go ahead. Let's do another one.
We've got a lot of Pacquiao fans here. Okay? A lot of Pacquiao fans here. So let's do this. Connect the Filipino sensation, the pride of the Philippines, Pac-Man Pacquiao. Connect Manny Pacquiao with Salvador Sanchez, the Mexican legend.
Whoa.
Give me a chain with that. It is possible.
Whoa. You got to hit me up in a private chat how you got to that.
Pretty easy.
Oh. Yeah, it's not as difficult as I thought.
I don't think, man. I don't think G Funk is live because he just answered that question like.
Yeah, you're not live, G Funky. Hit that live button.
Well, Pacquiao never fought Duran, but good guess.
Minute and a half. No. No.
Okay, that is one.
Is it?
He has one.
Nelson, Leija, De La Hoya. That's right.
Does anyone have another one?
RunPMC.
De La Hoya, then after De La Hoya, who? Well, yeah. That's another one. Hey, there's more than I thought, by the way. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. Goodness. Nando and RunPMC are like beast mode. Because I didn't see those. Give y'all 30 seconds.
Some of y'all are in live, bro. Nelson connects to Nelson, Leija, De La Hoya, Pacquiao.
He's right too, but he's got it in 4, right?
Oh, Pacquiao's one.
That's 3. Yeah, 3. So unless somebody gets it in 2, RunPMC gets another one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Run PMC has
The
4.
three is actually impressive because I had it in 4. So, like, they would have beaten me in my own game if I was in the game. Because I had Pacquiao, then Mayweather, Hernandez, Zuma Nelson, then Sanchez, right? So that's impressive.
Boxing trivia will be up on the channel tomorrow, and it will be in the playlist on the channel. And I got to say, I don't think Run PMC is going to be beaten anytime soon. 4 straight weeks, he keeps that diamond belt. And guess what? If he wins, I'm going to make him a deal. If Run PMC wins 10 straight weeks, I will mail him a real belt, a real diamond belt. And I'm not talking about a little trinket. Like, we're going to buy a real belt, and we're going to ship it off to him.
For a small sanctioning fee, of course.
For a small sanctioning fee. And by the way, we're always up for negotiation on some other sanctioning fees. Maybe we'll have a super belt. Maybe we'll have a silver belt. Maybe we'll have an interim belt. Maybe we'll have a champion and recess belt. I'm going to do the opposite of the WBA. I'm going to make more belts. They're saying they want to make less belts. I want to make more. But no, look, man, Run PMC is just in beast mode, and the boxing trivia will be up on the channel. But one last question. We got another mythical matchup, Pacquiao versus Edwin Valero. Valero was insane, too.
I had Pacquiao winning that one, but that's a war, though.
Costa Zoo's another one you can throw in there, too.
Pacquiao Valero it's like a like Hearns Haggard type of shit.
The Pacquiao that fought Hatton versus Valero.
Too big.
Incredible. That fight will be a war. That'll be a war. And one last thing I want to say is we were talking about the biggest moments in Pacquiao's career. One that always comes to mind for me as well that wasn't mentioned is the third Morales fight, when Morales just shakes his head to the corner. I will always remember that moment. Just the look on Morales' face, like, I just can't. I just can't. It's not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen against this guy. And that's what I always remember about Morales, is just looking in his corner and shaking his head. Now, no, that's your favorite fighter. Do you put that up there as well as a shining moment for Pacquiao? Like, maybe
it was. I mean, it's shiny because he avenged the loss. You know what I mean? And that's like, if they ever make a Manny Pacquiao movie, that's going to be in the movie. Like he lost and he came back and avenged it. Like, you know what I mean? That's like, and he avenged it, and he won a trilogy in spectacular fashion. You can't take that away from him.
Yep. And I just ended the poll in the chat, by the way, 169 votes, and we got Pacquiao 80%. Yes, we'll fight next. So I tend to agree. I think he's going to fight next. I don't think Ugas is going to be the swan song. That's just what I have to say as well. So we're going to finish this thing off. D-Style, your final power punch of the night. Go.
We don't have the power punch of the week. The power puncher of the week.
We don't have the power puncher of the week.
I just want to nominate somebody anyway, and I'll make it my power punch. So I'm going to break the rule. It's not a power punch, right? But it was a power kick, right? So shout out to the dude that won by a clean blow. Like, he landed a clean kick, was given the point by the judge, like, hacha, point. Like, you know what I mean? And then they said, wait a minute, you knocked him out. And they disqualified dude. Like, they disqualified him. His kick was so good. It was too good. And he got the knockout of the weekend. It was a spectacular knockout. Laid the dude out, but he lost because he knocked him out. No, it was not an illegal blow. It was totally legal. They gave him the point when he landed it, but since he knocked him out, they disqualified him. What are your thoughts on that, Alex?
I think it's horrible. And it makes me wonder, like, I just signed my kids up for karate last month. They're white belts now. They got some stripes on their white belt, though. They did some good things, but it makes me wonder if I have them in the right, what do we call it? The right discipline in karate. Mm-hmm. If you get disqualified for a knockout, that was a beautiful kick. So if you get DQ'd for a knockout kick, I don't know if I want my kids in that, but it is a good discipline to start off with and to build off of.
I'll say this. So, from what I understand, I was told that that's only a rule in Olympic karate. No, I did karate for a couple of years, and I did do tournaments where you were not allowed to kick in the head. You were allowed to strike punches, right? But you were not allowed to kick in the head. Okay, they did like that wasn't allowed. So, but in this case, it is allowed. But and you're supposed to hit hard enough to get the point. But if you hit them too hard and knock them out, I think this is opening the door for flopping in karate.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think that's what that is.
Like European soccer.
And something tells me this is something they implemented to get accepted into the Olympics. Oh, look at us. We're not bloody. We're not this. We're not that. But I'm glad you mentioned that. This is a clear sign, Alex. Clear sign that Miyagi-Do has corrupted karate, softened karate up. You know what I mean? Ever since Johnny Lawrence lost that fight, you know what I mean? They changed everything. They made it softer, the Miyagi way, where you don't hit them too hard to beat them up, to hurt them, but this is definitely for sure, the opposite of sweep the leg Johnny, for sure. So that's my power punch of the week and power kick of the week. Subscribe to my channel, D-Style Boxing. I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can go ahead and subscribe. Check out the content. And please, if you have an opportunity, check out our Christy Martin interview. It's up right now, and God bless everybody.
Yeah, and by the way, do not get him started on Bruce Lee. I'll just say that off the bat. He'll go on a Bruce Lee rant for about 10 minutes. Don't get him started on Bruce Lee.
The same dudes that say Pacquiao isn't proven come out and say, oh, Bruce Lee's a real deal. What? I'm saying.
But I'll say this. My final power punch of the week is Pacquiao is doing what Pacquiao does. This guy falls off. Give me the next top guy available. Number 6 in the division. He has my belt anyway. Line him up. Week and a half notice. Cuban fighter. Tough style. Tough fighter. I don't care. Line him up. Fight him. This is what we want in boxing, and we should be praising fighters like this, like Pacquiao, like Chocolatito. These guys who fight top competition, even at an older age, all right? They're trying to show these younger fighters the blueprint on how to become legends, and these younger fighters won't follow, all right? But if they won't follow, guess what? Pacquiao is the biggest thing going in August. He's the biggest fight in boxing for the rest of the year, barring Canelo fight in November. And there's a reason why. It's because he takes risks. With great risk becomes great rewards if you get on the other side of that. And that's what Pacquiao is doing once again. Line him up. I'll fight him. Whatever weight class, I'll fight him. All right. And I respect fighters like that. And that's why I'm a fan of Manny Pacquiao. And I'll also say this. Again, subscribe to that channel right there, D-Style Boxing. If you're not subscribed to my channel as well, hit me up. I'm trying to get to 4,000. I'm trying to get to 5,000 by the end of August. So hit me up, subscribe to the channel. We do boxing content every day. We have shows every day on the HCP network, Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday. So hit us up. Enjoy the content. And also hit up GFunky84 and subscribe to that channel. On that note, we are out. Everybody have a great night. God bless. Peace.
HC, peace.